Yogis, my name is Shaunneka, and today I'm going to walk you through a Yin Yoga practice for your hips, really targeting the glutes. And if you are in self-isolation, as are the most of us right now, maybe you're doing a lot of sitting on the couch, so this is going to be a nice way to open up the hips and get all that energy flowing and release some of the tension that you might be carrying in your hips. So we're going to go right away and start with our intense toe squat. So from a tabletop position, you want to make sure that you're tucking your toes under. So tuck them under. And then you're going to bring and place your weight back onto your heels. So it's always good to draw your pinky toes forward because sometimes they like to get left behind. So we're going to be here for a total of 3 minutes. If you're feeling like maybe this is a little bit too intense for you to hold for the 3 minutes, you can always take a block if you have one handy. You can do 1 foot at a time, resting the weight on the back foot, and halfway through I'll cue you to switch feet. Let's go ahead, close our eyes or soften the gaze. Nice deep breaths. So if you were doing the 1 foot option, we've come halfway. You can switch to the other foot. Otherwise, we're here for our last few breaths. Let's go ahead and take our last 2 big breaths here. A nice big inhale. And side out. 1 more inhale. And exhale. Go ahead, if you have the eyes closed, open the eyes, rock forward, plant your palms, find that tabletop position, and untuck the toes. Should feel really, really nice. Maybe you want to rotate the ankles, wiggle the toes a little bit, invite some life back into your feet. Extend maybe one leg back and the other leg. And you can always tap your toes on top of the mat. So we've just stretched through the back of the leg and the foot. So we're going to counteract that and just stretch everything just below the knee, top of the shin, top of the foot. So you have 2 options here. If you have a pillow handy, you can place your knees on top of the pillow, or you can just sit as I'm doing with my toes tucked under, my toes pressing into the floor and sitting back onto my heels. You could stay here for 3 deep breaths, or you can bring your fingertips behind you and pick up your knees gently. So we'll do this for a count of 3. For 2. And 1. So gently lower the knees. If you're sitting simply like this, just come forward again. Find that tabletop position, roll out through the ankles, wiggle the toes, whatever it is that you need to do to find some comfort back into your feet. All right, getting ready to work through our hips now. So again, keeping this tabletop position, you're just going to bring your big toes to touch and your knees as wide as they can come for you. Once you've found a desirable position for yourself, you're looking to send your hips, you're going to tuck your toes under, and then you're sending your hips towards your heels. Once your hips reach your heels, you're walking your hands out as far as they can go for you and melting your chest to the floor. You can bring your right cheek to the mat. And halfway through, I will cue you and we will turn our cheek to the opposite side. So it's really important in these poses to take nice deep breaths, especially in this pose. You want to think about breathing through the back of the rib cage. So it's really important, or not, I shouldn't say important, but it's quite evident when we're in a pose like this, where you can feel the tightness in one side of the body more than the other. And this is normal. So we have come halfway on the side. Let's go ahead and turn our cheek to the opposite direction. So always remembering to breathe breath into the back of the rib cage, to the back body. Nice expansive breath. And also just noticing how far you've come in the pose. Noticing what feels different. Coming into our last few breaths here. Let's go ahead and take our last 2 breaths. Let's take a nice big inhale. And sigh out. One more inhale. And exhale. So go ahead and bring your gaze towards the front of the room. Walk your hands back in towards your knees, taking your time. Go ahead and rock forward. Find that tabletop position with your toes tucked under already. Tuck your toes under. Draw your knees closed. Press your toenails into the floor. Drape your belly on top of your thighs. And just find a closed-legged child's pose for a moment. So these moments of stillness after a pose are very important because it allows the body to rebound, recalibrate, and really reap the benefits of the pose. Let's go ahead and sit on up, and we'll get ready to make our way into our next pose. So our next pose will be dragon. So again, from that tabletop position, you are going to step your right foot beside your right pinky. And maybe this is enough for you and you stay here, or maybe you tuck your left toes under, pick up your left knee, and shimmy your left knee back as much as it's comfortable for you. So you want to make sure you're not straining and pushing into your palms and really kind of just straining, basically. You want to allow the belly to be soft, so let the belly go. Allow yourself to sink into the posture. Maybe you place your hands on blocks, or maybe again you have your pillow nearby. Right? Or maybe you come onto your forearms. We will be here for 3 minutes. So I personally like to stay up on my palms. I feel I get more of a stretch through my inner groin and inner thigh. Sometimes when we're in these poses, our mind begins to wander. So if that's you, something that I like to do is box breathing. So you inhale for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4, exhale for a count of 4. Always coming back to the breath. Last few breaths here before we transition. Take our last two breaths here. Nice big inhale. And a nice side of the mouth. One more inhale. And exhale. So if you're all the way down onto your forearms, push back up onto your palms. Tuck your left toes under and stick your bum back behind you. You're going to walk or shimmy your right foot behind your left wrist. And then your right knee comes down behind your right wrist, setting up for a pigeon or sleeping swan. So just look over your shoulder and make sure your leg is actually behind you and not on a diagonal. And then square your hips off to the front of the room. And then inhale and fold forward. So as always, you can place a pillow or a towel underneath the right thigh if your right hip is not on the floor. Last few breaths here. take our last 2 breaths. Nice big inhale. And a side of the mouth. One more inhale. And exhale. Let's go ahead, lift the gaze, push into your palms. From here, you're just going to lean your weight into your right hip. Bring your right leg out from underneath you. Bring it out beside you, behind you, and come to lay all the way down onto your back. So you might be able to feel that nice surge of energy running up through the right side of the body. It should feel really, really nice. Taking a few moments again to find some stillness before we do the other side. All right. Let's go ahead and invite a little bit of movement before we go on to the other side. So bend your knees. And from here, just gently windshield wiper your knees from side to side. And you should really be able to feel the difference between the side we've just done and the side that's to come. And let's just go ahead, roll over onto our right side and push ourselves back up. And we'll prep for the other side. So finding yourself back in that tabletop position. Stepping your left foot this time to the outside of your left pinky. And again, staying here might be enough for you, or tuck the right toes under, shimmy the right foot back as much as is comfortable for you. And finding your version of the pose. Remember that the belly is soft. No gripping in the glutes, no squeezing of the toes, everything is soft. Always remembering to come back to the breath. So if you're new to the practice of Yin Yoga, you've noticed that there isn't a lot of talking, not a lot of noise. It's an inner practice. So really trying to bring your awareness inside and just notice what's coming up for you. Last few breaths here before we transition. Taking our last 2 breaths here, nice big inhale. And side out. One more inhale. And exhale. Let's go ahead and tuck our right toes under. Send your bum back. And you know what? If you're feeling like a 100-year-old lady, that's totally fine because so do I. Let's go ahead and shimmy your left foot behind your right wrist, bringing your left shin and knee down behind the left wrist. Look over your shoulders always. Make sure that leg is placed nicely behind you. And again, if your your left hip doesn't come to the floor, you can always place a block or a pillow underneath that hip. So let's go ahead and square off your hips towards the front of the mat. And when you're ready, folding forward onto your forearms. Maybe you stay here, or maybe you come all the way down, stacking palms or fists and allowing the forehead to rest. And again, this side might feel different than the other. Maybe it's tighter. You know, for me, this side is a lot tighter than my right side. Again, belly is soft. Relax the jaw. Notice if you're holding any tension in your shoulders. Allow the shoulders to soften. Maybe open the elbows out a little wider.
Really think of the breath as a massage. So using your breath to massage out any of that tension you're feeling. Last few breaths on this side. Let's go ahead and take our last 2 breaths. Nice big inhale. Inside out. One more inhale. And exhale. Let's go ahead and slowly lift the gaze. Push back into your palms. Walk your hands back up. Lean your weight into your left hip. Your leg goes out beside you, behind you, and come to lay on your back. Few moments of stillness here. Let's go ahead and bend the knees. And very gently, windshield wiper the knees from side to side. Just allowing anything that's stagnant there to really flush itself out.
So we've done a lot of outer hips, working our glutes, getting into the pelvis. So we're going to work on stretching out the hip flexors. So let's go ahead and extend the left leg straight. You're going to bend the right knee in towards your chest. Wrap your arms around your knee. If you are struggling to wrap your hands around your knee, you can always grab a strap or a towel or a scarf that you have at home. Let's go ahead. Inhaling here. And every exhale, you're looking to draw the knee in closer towards the chest. So you should be feeling a nice slight pull through the left hip flexor here. Just a couple more breaths on this side, and then we will transition into a twist. Just gently opening the eyes if they were closed. You're going to take your left hand to the outside of the right knee and bring your right arm out beside you, pushing your palm into the floor. You're going to draw your right knee now over to the left for a twist. You can leave that arm straight up beside you, or you can bend at the elbow. You're looking to really push or send your hip towards your ankle. And then you can always take the left hand and place it on top of the right knee, just for a nice added pull and to apply just a slight pressure. And I like to keep my gaze towards the ceiling. It's up to you. You can gaze over your right shoulder or towards the ceiling. Last few breaths here. Let's take our last 2 breaths. Nice big inhale. A nice side of the mouth. One more inhale. And exhale. Good. Go ahead and bring your gaze towards the ceiling. If it's not already there, using a little bit of core strength, draw your knee back in and up and set the foot down onto the floor. Bend the left knee to meet the right and just hang out here for a moment before we come to our final side. So let's go ahead and even things out. Extend your right leg down onto the mat and bend your left knee in towards your chest. Again, you can use a strap, scarf, towel to catch a hold of that knee if interlacing your hands is not for you. Inhaling here. And every exhale, looking to draw the knee closer towards the chest. A few more breaths before we transition. So let's go ahead and prep to transition into our twist. You're going to keep the knee bent and take your right hand to the outside of the left knee and draw the left knee over towards the right. Oh, feels so good. And go ahead and extend the left arm out beside you. And remember, you can always bend at the elbow
using the right hand to gently pull down on the left knee, sending your hip towards your heel. I always think it's good anytime you're in a twist to think about spiraling the breath up and down the spine. It's a nice visual. Last few breaths here. Take our last and final 2 breaths. Nice big inhale. Side out. One more inhale. And exhale. Bringing your gaze back to the ceiling if it's not already there. Drawing your knee back in and up. Bring the right knee to meet the left. And very gently, maybe get out any little kinks you might have there. Draw your knees in towards your chest. Give yourself a nice big hug. And rock from side to side. You grab onto your ankles or you wrap your arms around your knees. Squeeze into a nice tight ball for 3, 2, and 1. Gently release. Extend your legs out wide, arms out wide for your Shavasana. So feeling free to stay here as long as you like.
Slowly beginning to invite movement back into the body, wiggling the fingers and the toes, rotating the ankles and the wrists. Reach the arms up overhead for a nice long body stretch. Let's go ahead and bend your knees. Rolling over onto your right side, you can allow the head to cradle in the upper arm. From here, using your left hand to help push yourself up to a seat. Coming to a cross-legged position. Closing your eyes, bringing your hands to right center. Just bow in, showing yourself a moment of gratitude for taking this time to practice for yourself. Yogis, I hope your hips are happy and that you enjoyed this practice. Stay tuned for my next yoga class, and I really hope you enjoyed this. I would really appreciate any feedback that you have for me, and enjoy the rest of your day, morning, night, whenever it is that you decided to do this video.